Daf Yomi, Tractate Zevachim, page 56. And starting from the bottom of 55b, the last line says, Rabbi Yehuda says that Shmuel says, one is liable for entering the temple courtyard in a state of ritual impurity only with regard to, and now turning to 56a on top, Orech mea ushmonim v'sheva al rochav mea ushloshim bechamesh. An area whose length is 187 cubits by 135 cubits in width. Tani coming into Rav Nachman. Kol hazara haisam mea shmonim v'sheva al rochav al mea shloshim bechamesh. Amar le, hachi amar li abba. כגון זה כהנים נכנסים לשם ואוכלים שם קודשי קדושים ושוחטים שם קודשים קלים וחייבים משום טומאה. A Tana taught a Braita before of Nachman. The entire temple courtyard was 187 cubits in length by 135 cubits in width. Rav Nachman said to the Tana, my father said this to me, in an area such as this, I wonder what they were talking about, the temple, the second base of English probably? I was guessing. I don't know. My father said to me this, in an area such as this, the priests enter there and eat offerings of the most sacred order there, and slaughter offerings of lesser sanctity there, and are liable due to entering in a state of ritual impurity. The Gemara asks, these specific dimensions serve to exclude what? If we say they are stated to exclude the windows, doors, and thickness of the wall, we learn the opposite in the Mishnah, Zevachim 85b. The windows in the wall and the thickness of the wall are considered as though they are inside the temple courtyard. Ve'el lamute l'shachos but rather, they are stated to exclude the chambers in the temple courtyard. The Gemara asks, and if is referring to chambers that are built in a non-sacred area, which is outside the designated space and open to the sacred area, but didn't, we learn in the Mishnah in Maser Sheni 3:8, the inside of chambers that are built in the sacred area, but are open to the non-sacred area is non-sacred, but their roofs are sacred. If they are built in a non-sacred area and open to a sacred area, their interior is sacred and their roofs are non-sacred. The Gemara answers, they have sanctity by rabbinic law. קודשי קדושים משערי מנחה, תלמוד לומר, בחצר עולמות יאכלוה. התורה ריבסה חצרוס הרבה אצל אכילה achas. The Gemara asks, and do they not have sanctity by Torah law? But isn't it taught in the Braita with regard to the chambers that are built in the non-sacred area of the Temple Mount and open to the sacred area? From where is it derived that the priests enter there and eat their offerings of the most sacred order and the remainders of the meal offerings? The verse states, with regard to a meal offering, it shall be eaten without leaven in a holy place. In the courtyard of the tent of meeting they shall eat it. Leviticus 6, verse 9. The verse could have simply stated in a holy place, which indicates the courtyard, by also stating in the courtyard of the tent of meeting. The Torah amplified that and by many courtyards with one type of eating, meaning of the meal offering. If the chambers do not have sanctity by Torah law, the sages would not have permitted the priests to eat offerings of the most sacred order there. Amar Rava l'achila shani. Rava said the halacha concerning eating is different. The Torah specifically includes these chambers in addition to the temple courtyard itself for eating offerings of the most sacred order. By contrast, with regard to slaughtering offerings of lesser sanctity and the punishment for entering the courtyard in a state of ritual impurity, these chambers are not considered sacred by Torah law. Avolim tumalo betanya lishachos b'niyos Chadash kohanim tichnas l'sham v'ochlin l'sham kadshim kadashim ve'en shotam sham kadshim kalim chayim mishum tuma. The Gemara asks, with regard to ritual impurity, is one not liable to receive karet for entering these chambers? But isn't it taught in a Braita with regard to the chambers that are built in the non-sacred area and that open to the sacred area? Priests enter there and eat offerings of the most sacred order there, but may not slaughter offerings of lesser sanctity there, and are liable to receive karet due to ritual impurity if they enter there while ritually impure. Lav amart in shochatin tani nami in chayavin. Rava could answer, did you not say in the Braita that they may not slaughter offerings of lesser sanctity in those chambers? If so, amend the text of the Braita and teach also they are not liable to receive karet for entering in a state of ritual impurity. The Gemara challenges granted the priests may not enter there because slaughtering an offering requires that it be performed before the entrance of the temple courtyard. And if he slaughters it inside a chamber, it is not. But why would they not be liable for entering there in a state of ritual impurity? V'letamech en shochatin mi lo askinan tika shchita keneged Pesach di'i leka lemai itzrich ela af al gav tika shachit keneged Pesach tani en shochatin mishum de lo kadesh tani nami en chayavin. The Gemara answers, and according to your reasoning, when it teaches that they may not slaughter there, are we not dealing even with a case in which there is an act of slaughter performed before the entrance, meaning the entrance to the chamber directly faced the entrance of the temple? As if not, for what purpose was it necessary to teach this at all? Rather, even though he slaughters the offering before the entrance, the Braita teaches that a priest may not slaughter offerings in the chambers because that area is not sacred. If so, teach also that they are not liable to receive karet for entering the chambers in a state of ritual impurity, as they are not sacred. Shnei pishpashin hayu b'beis hachalifos govan shmone kedei lahachshir hazor lachilas kodshei kedashim v'lashchitas kodshim kalim. Ravina semi mikan achila. Gemara asks, and for eating an offering, do we not require that this take place before the entrance of the temple courtyard? But isn't it taught in Braita? Rabbi Yossi, son of Yehuda, says, there were 2 wickets in the chamber of knives, and their height was 8 cubits. The function of these openings was in order to render fit the entire temple courtyard for the eating of offerings of the most sacred order, and to render fit all of the temple courtyard for the slaughter of offerings of lesser sanctity. Ravina said, remove from here the clause concerning eating. The eating of offerings does not have to take place before the entrance of the temple courtyard. V'yaksiv pashlu es habasar pesach oil moed v'sham tochlu esai kache shani. The Gemara asks, but isn't it written with regard to the offerings brought at the inauguration of the tabernacle? And Moses said to Aaron and his sons, cook the meat at the entrance of the tent of meeting and eat it there. Leviticus 8:31. This indicates that the eating of offerings had to be at the entrance of the tent of meeting. The Gemara answers, offerings that were sacrificed only one time are different, since they were specifically commanded for just that time. One cannot derive from there any halachot with regard to offerings in general. Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Avudimi minayin ladam shenifsal b'shkiyas hachama shneemar b'yom hakrivo et zivche yachel b'yom hakrivo et zivcho yachel b'yom she'ata zobeach ata makriv b'yom she'iyata zobeach iyata makriv. Rav Yitzchak bar Avudimi says, from where is it derived that the blood of offerings becomes disqualified at sunset and can no longer be presented on the altar? This is as it is stated in the verse. But if the sacrifice of his offering be a vow or a gift offering, it shall be eaten on the day that he sacrifices his offering, and on the morrow. Leviticus 7:16. This means that on the day that you slaughter the offering, you sacrifice it on the altar and present its blood. But on the day that you do not slaughter the offering, you may not sacrifice it and present its blood. The Gemara challenges, but he requires a verse. Continue with 56b, the next off.